Here's what I want to leave you with. $1 million sounds like a big, intimidating number, but it's really just the result of thousands of small decisions made consistently over time. The right client email sent, the right system built, the right problem solved, over and over and over again. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a trust fund. You don't need to know everything before you start. You just need to start and then refuse to stop. If this story connected with you, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below telling me where you are in your own journey. Are you at day 1, month 6, year 2? I read every single comment, and I'll see you in the next video. So what does all of this mean for you? Here are the 5 things I wish someone had told me at the very beginning. 1. Start ugly. Your first version will be embarrassing. Ship it anyway. Perfection is just fear wearing a suit. 2. Solve a real problem. I didn't invent a new industry. I solved a real painful problem for businesses who needed content but didn't have time to create it. Find the pain, build the solution. 3. Your pricing tells people how to treat you. When I charged $15, clients treated me like a vending machine. When I charged $5,000, they treated me like a partner. Price is a positioning tool, not just a math equation. 4. Systems beat hustle every time. You cannot outwork a broken business model. Build the system first, then work hard within the system. 5. The plateau is part of the process. When growth slows down, most people think something is wrong, but plateaus are where you consolidate, learn, and prepare for the next leap. Don't panic, dig deeper. Month 14. I'll never forget it. We landed a contract with a mid-sized SaaS company based in Austin, Texas. They needed a full content strategy, blog posts, email sequences, social copy, the works. It was a $48,000 annual contract. $48,000 from one client. That was more than I had made in my entire first year at my corporate job. And here's what that contract taught me. Your business doesn't grow linearly. It grows in leaps. You grind for months in the dark, building systems, fixing processes, getting better, and then one day, the right opportunity walks through the door, and you're ready for it. If I had quit at month 6, I would never have been ready for month 14. After that contract, everything accelerated. We raised our prices. We became more selective about clients. We built a reputation in the B2B SaaS space specifically. And by the end of year 2, we crossed $1 million in revenue. I remember the exact moment I saw that number on my accounting dashboard. I didn't throw a party. I didn't pop champagne. I just called my mom. She had always believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. And I just wanted her to know that the kid who used to have $47 in his bank account had built something real. But let me stop right here, because this is the part of the story that nobody puts in their highlight reel. Between month 5 and month 12, things got harder. Not easier, harder. My team grew, my overhead grew. I had client complaints, I had a writer plagiarize content, and I had to refund a $6,000 contract out of my own pocket. I had a month where 3 major clients left at the same time, and revenue dropped by 40% overnight. I stopped sleeping properly. I was working 14-hour days. My girlfriend at the time told me I had become obsessed and impossible to reach. She wasn't wrong. And here's the honest truth about entrepreneurship that the gurus won't tell you on their podcast. Building a business will test your identity, not just your skills. There were weeks where I genuinely didn't know if I was the right person for this, where I wondered if I had made a terrible mistake, where quitting felt not just tempting, it felt logical. But I had one habit that kept me going. Every single week, no matter how bad things were, I wrote down 3 things that were working. Not the problems, not the failures. 3 things that were working. Some weeks that list was hard to fill, but it was never empty. And that practice kept me tethered to reality. It reminded me that even in the chaos, there was progress. Here's where most people make a mistake. When they start making a little money, they get comfortable. They treat it like a job. They trade time for dollars over and over, and they wonder why they never grow. I almost fell into the same trap. But then I read one sentence that completely changed how I thought about business. It was from a book, and the line was simple. You don't scale by doing more. You scale by building systems that do it for you. That hit me like a brick. I wasn't building a business. I was building a slightly better version of a job. So I made a pivot. Instead of just writing content myself, I started hiring other freelance writers, people just like me, hungry and talented, and I became the middleman, the agency. I would find the clients, close the deals, manage the quality, and pay my writers a fair rate. And I kept a margin. It sounds simple. And honestly, the concept is simple, but the execution was brutal. My first month running it as an agency, I lost $800. I paid my writers, but I hadn't collected payment from two clients who just ghosted me. I remember sitting in my car in a parking lot just staring at my bank account. I had $212 left, and I had to decide, do I quit or do I fix the problem? I fixed the problem. I restructured my contracts. I required 50% upfront payment. I built a client vetting process. And in month 2, the agency made $4,300 profit. Month 3, $7,800. Month 5, we crossed $15,000 in a single month. And I remember the night that happened. I just sat there in silence, because 6 months ago, I was counting change to buy groceries, and now I had a real business. It started with a problem. I had just been laid off from my corporate job in marketing. I was 27 years old, living in a one-bedroom apartment in Columbus, Ohio, and I had nothing but time and a laptop. For the first 2 weeks, I did what most people do. I sent out resumes, hundreds of them, and I heard back from almost no one. And then one night, completely out of frustration, I opened my laptop and started freelancing. I wrote marketing copy for small businesses. I charged $15 an article. $15. I remember thinking, this is embarrassing. I have a degree, I have experience, and here I am writing blog posts about dog food for $15 a piece. But here's the thing nobody tells you about starting from zero. You don't start with confidence. You start with desperation. And desperation, when you channel it right, is actually one of the most powerful fuels on the planet. So I kept going. I wrote articles, I sent cold emails, I built a tiny portfolio website. And slowly, very slowly, clients started coming in. $15 turned into $50. $50 turned into $150 per project. After 3 months, I was making about $2,000 a month. It wasn't life-changing money, but it was mine. And more importantly, it showed me something crucial. It showed me that the market would pay for my skills, that there was real demand, and that if I could build a system around it, I could scale it. Imagine waking up one morning with $47 in your bank account. Not $47,000, not $4,700, $47. That's it. That's all you have. Rent is due in 6 days. Your car payment is late. And somewhere on your kitchen table sits a business idea scribbled on a napkin, an idea that everyone around you thinks is stupid. That was me, 5 years ago. And today, that napkin idea became $1 million business. But here's what I want to tell you. The journey from $0 to $1 million is nothing like what you see on Instagram. Nobody shows you the panic attacks at 2 a.m. Nobody shows you the months where you make absolutely nothing. Nobody talks about the relationships that crack under the pressure. So today, I'm going to tell you the real story, the full story. Because if you're trying to build something, you deserve the truth. Let's get into it.